This is the new 9mm. Now it's unlocked.
If we can set it up so you can't unlock your phone unless you got the right fingerprint, why can't we do the same thing for our guns?
In a sense, it's working the same way that my iPhone does.
Very similar. We mechanically unlock the gun and it's ready to fire.
If I wear this, then I'm the only one that can operate this gun.
Oh yeah, there's a chip inside the ring.
That's a pretty scary thought, that one you would want to use law enforcement as a marketing tool. These aren't people that you kind of want to use as guinea pigs.
We have 21,000 firearm suicides, 800 children who die from firearms every year.
Don't come at me with this.
Right now we're in a dorm here at MIT, and on our way to meet Kai, who has designed his own smart gun. Hey, Christoph.
Nice to meet you, Christoph.
Yeah, nice to meet you too.
Yeah, come on in. It's not particularly exciting.
It's a dorm room in there, it is.
Yeah, exactly. Eventually we won't be working on Glocks, we'll be making our own custom gun, but for right now we're just modifying normal firearms. And basically the way this works is this little thing inset into the grip here, I've actually got one, is a fingerprint sensor. So that's the same thing that's right there, it's just bigger. And this fingerprint sensor basically goes under your middle finger when you pick up the firearm. So your hand sort of would curl around it like this, and naturally that middle finger would land right on the sensor here.
So in a sense, it's working the same way that my iPhone does.
It's very similar to an iPhone. We mechanically unlock the gun and it's ready to fire.
Americans love their guns. With roughly 300 million in the US, that's nearly a gun for every man, woman, and child. And business is booming. Gun sales have soared over the past decade, and lately, major advances in security technology have led to a convergence with guns.
Both the PPKS 9mm short. There's a microdermal sensor in the grip. It's been coded to your palm print so only you can fire it.
Gun technology is quickly advancing beyond Hollywood, and as both public and political support surges, the era of the smart gun may have arrived.
We're going to boost gun safety technology. If we can set it up so you can't unlock your phone unless you got the right fingerprint, why can't we do the same thing for our guns?
Kai's fingerprint-enabled handgun represents one-of-a-kind smart gun technology in development. Another is RFID, championed by Jonathan Mossberg. The Mossberg family runs one of the country's largest shotgun companies. Jonathan branched off to focus on RFID smart guns.
There's a chip inside the ring. It's
Oh yeah, sure enough.
now that's 16-year-old technology. The new technology is about the size of a grain of rice, maybe even smaller.
But the idea is like, if I wear this, then I'm the only one that can operate this gun.
Correct.
If it's programmed.
Yeah, without that, you can't fire the gun.
So if you take the ring right now,
Yep.
and I took the safety off,
Yep.
and went to go fire, nothing.
Nothing. Yep. Now put the safety on, just because we're
Yep.
safe.
Yep. Rings on.
Yep. Firm grip, and you'll hear a click. You'll
Grip.
hear a soft click.
Safety off.
Nice
And
firm grip.
yep.
No. Yeah, okay. Here. Pull the trigger. Pump it. Pump it out. Pretty cool, huh?
Yeah. Well, what's amazing is it just doesn't work.
It
without
just
the
doesn't
ring.
work. Yeah.
A survey conducted last year by Johns Hopkins found more than half of Americans would consider buying a smart gun. But despite this demand, major gun manufacturers still aren't developing the technology. Why is it taking somebody like yourself sitting here in their dorm room designing the gun? Wouldn't this be something that they would love and want to be a part of?
In a lot of ways, the firearm industry is content. It's growing every year. They're selling more and more guns, and they're able to more or less, resell the same technology over and over again. If we were trying to introduce a new app, there's everyone expects a new app. There's hundreds a day, right? Mm-hmm. But with a new gun, there hasn't really been one in the last 100 years.
One example is the popular 1911 style handgun, which has changed little since it was adopted by the military in the year 1911. But industry resistance is deeper than research costs. The caustic battle over gun control has made smart guns a highly divisive topic.
There's a law that's still in the books in New Jersey. It's in the process of being repealed, that basically mandates smart guns in the state once the smart gun is sold anywhere in the United States.
How do you feel about that?
it's a horrible law. It's completely destroyed the market for 20 years. And honestly, like we sort of, as a company, in a lot of ways, are counting on that law being repealed.
It was this woman, New Jersey State Senator Loretta Weinberg, who penned the bill, intending to help bring the technology to consumers.
I used to say to people about marriage equality, if you don't believe in gay marriage, don't marry a gay. You know, if you don't believe these guns are going to work, don't buy one. It's as simple as that.
The bill was designed so that if a single smart gun was sold anywhere in the US, the law would require New Jersey gun stores to only sell smart guns within 3 years.
So the bill was interpreted as gun control.
Yes,
That would be chipping away at the Second Amendment rights.
correct.
Gun rights activists were determined to prevent any smart gun from being sold anywhere in the US. Twice, however, it almost happened. A German smart gun company called Armatix tried to get their gun into stores, but in each case, the owners faced a tidal wave of violent threats from across the country. One owner in Maryland faced so much pressure, he barricaded himself inside his store.
He was sitting in his gun store all night long making this YouTube because he was afraid that the Second Amendment people were going to come and burn down his store.
Obviously, I received numerous death threats today. I really appreciate that. That's classy. That's a great thing for gun rights when you threaten to shoot somebody. How can the NRA or people want to prohibit a gun when we're supposed to be pro-gun?
The more he drank, the more verbal he became.
Don't come at me with this. That's the people who called up and threatened to kill me. We never sold an Armatix pistol.
The controversial Armatix pistol is this one, the IP-1, a .22 caliber handgun that only fires if the shooter is wearing a special watch.
Okay, so if it was in this hand, it's red.
Yep.
And then here it's green, so it would actually fire.
Yep.
After the backlash, Armatix realized it needed a new plan for the US. They hired this man, Wolfgang Terraser, to oversee the new strategy by upgrading to a bigger gun, a new 9mm.
Why is it such a big deal to come out with a 9mm?
22 is quite a small caliber for the United States. You know, everybody goes 9mm, 45, 38. The bigger the better.
In other words, to be taken seriously in the US, you have to be dealing with a 9mm. 22 caliber ain't gonna do it.
Not really, yes.
Wow.
But you know,
Says a lot about our market.
This new 9mm has never been seen by the public. But after promising to keep our footage a secret until a certain date, Armatix agreed to show it to us, and we headed to their lab in Munich to see the prototype.
So this is the new 9mm?
We have implemented some kind of PIN entry to authenticate.
Just like somebody typing a code to unlock their iPhone.
Yeah.
This is the same thing, except you're doing it with your fingers on the handle of the gun.
But you have to train a little bit.
Okay, they just handed me the gun to see if I can unlock it. So now it's locked. To unlock, 2, 3. Now it's unlocked.
Even if Armatix can prove their new gun is reliable, selling that concept to Americans will still prove a huge task.
Point it straight in the air. 4 fingers over the top of the slide. Aggressively
Instead, they plan to put their gun in the hands of law enforcement first. So we headed back to the States to meet with the largest police force in the country, the NYPD. Here, at the Firearms Training Center in the Bronx, officers fire thousands of rounds with service guns that have undergone rigorous testing to pass approval by the force. When we asked a street cop about adopting smart gun technology, the idea was immediately met with skepticism.
We're tapping the bottom of the magazine to make sure it's seated. We rack the slide, and that should fix that problem. If I'm to add some sort of an electrical component to this mechanical device, I don't have a fix for that.
Right, so because it's a computer issue, basically.
Right.
How do you feel about the idea of carrying a smart gun?
As a police officer, you have a gun to protect yourself and, more importantly, to protect the public. I can't defend people's lives with a tool that I don't feel comfortable with. I need that reliability.
A lot of people see the police force adaptation of this technology being the way forward as a way of keeping other Americans safe.
That's a pretty scary thought to think about, is that one, you would want to use law enforcement as a marketing tool, these aren't people that you kind of want to use as guinea pigs. These are people that are stepping up and agreeing to protect themselves, put themselves in dangerous positions, and to protect your family.
At NYPD headquarters in Manhattan, top brass echoed the same concerns about the reliability, despite some pressure from politicians and the public to adopt smart guns.
So would you say it's important to the NYPD to explore smart gun technology?
Yeah, we've been exploring it along with law enforcement generally in the country. What we worry about is reliability, durability.
If it's going to meet that rigorous standard, it's something that departments might want to look at least in a pilot program capacity. That technology has to be 100% reliable for an officer to have confidence in that. Is that going to be compromised through blunt force, battery drainage? I mean, there's a host of issues there.
If law enforcement does move forward with testing out smart guns, it would be a major step for supporters. But for many, this strategy simply delays adoption by the public, where they say the real crisis is.
What inspired you to make a smart gun?
For me, it started as a combination of a couple of different things. This was right after the Aurora Theater shooting. And so I was looking for a science fair project, and there's a lot of reasons why we need change in the gun industry. Namely, the fact that we have 30,000 deaths from firearms every year in the United States, 21,000 firearm suicides, 800 children who die from firearms every year.
A 2013 report by the Centers for Disease Control found that 500 people were killed that year by accidental discharge. David Hemingway, professor of health policy at Harvard, is a leading expert on death and injuries by firearms.
It's so incredibly dangerous for the family to have the handgun around in terms of suicide and accidents and spousal abuse and so forth.
1.69 million households in the United States right now where there's children and an unsecured firearm. And the research shows you put a kid in a room with an unlocked gun, if they find it, they're going to play with it.
But sometimes he plays quick draw with his best friend or his younger brother, and there's a bullet here and bang, somebody's dead. For 2 to 4-year-olds, it turns out this is the one age group, the toddlers, who shoot themselves. They find the gun and they point it at themselves, and with their thumbs are just strong enough to pull the trigger. How did we solve the problem about aspirin bottles? Little kids used to overdose on aspirin. So we made it child-proof aspirin bottles. We can do that with guns.
Accidental shootings account for far more deaths per year than school shootings, but that number is dwarfed by suicides, twice as many as total homicides.
Yeah, why is a gun such an effective method for suicide?
It's so easy to use, and it's so easy to kill yourself. A gun in a home increases the likelihood that someone in that home will die of a suicide substantially, maybe threefold. If they take 100 pills, they have a 2% likelihood of dying. If they shoot themselves in the head, they have a 90% chance of dying.
With numbers like these, it's easy to understand why smart gun advocates feel such urgency to bring this new technology to market. But the greatest hurdle to do so may lie in the country's bitter divide over gun control.
I will not be part of anyone for anyone when it comes to guns. 4 years ago, I got 2 responses. One was, what's a smart gun? And 2, oh my God, those things are horrible. That's a lot different than we see today. There's a lot more people who know what a smart gun is.
And in lockstep with the NRA, the gun industry won't consider developing smart guns until the public demands them.
The gun manufacturers themselves are making enormous profits, are one of the few industries that don't want to change to make their products safer.
Well, when they think about cars, we want them to think about sex and power, and we don't want them to think about this is a very dangerous product that they could get seriously injured in. And I think the same way with guns. You want to think about, oh, you can imagine all these incredibly heroic things you did, and you don't want to think about the dangers you were bringing into your home.
Everybody knows about the NRA and all that, but the real underbelly of it is very much under the radar screen. The people who are funding it and the people who've sold their souls for it.
Our full documentary series covers such issues as the rise of assault weapons, concealed carry permits, and guns on campus. Make sure to watch our entire series and subscribe to AJ Plus to watch more docs.